today has struck out the suits against persons charged over the nationwide End Bad Governance protest, and they've been received at the presidential villa by the Vice President Kashim Shettima. And it's decision day for the people of the United States of America, as long lines of voters are waiting in queue for decision on who becomes America's next president. It's either Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. Decision day for the United States. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimaloye here in Abuja. We're keeping our eyes on a very crucial day for the people of the United States. And that's what we're asking. What does it matter? It does matter. In global politics, what happened in the United States, for example, affects the rest of the world in terms of geopolitics. And all of what happens globally also hinges on the economy of the dollar. And so the election or the decision of who becomes America's next president is very crucial. Some millions of voters have headed out on the final day and the last few hours of decision in determining who becomes the next president of the United States in a crucial presidential election that has been defined by a lot of drama, a lot of rhetoric and uncertainty, with Kamala Harris, the sitting vice president, and Donald Trump, a former president of the United States, left to a wet outcome of a desperately close race after months of intense campaigning. We've seen the debates between both of them, but the result tonight will determine who has been able to convince the voter in that country. Perhaps vote results will be coming sometimes over the night here in Nigeria, or we'll be waiting for the decision of the collegiate who will be determining in the college votes on who becomes America president or who holds the 270 vote, either make it Harris or Donald Trump. A decision that could return Donald Trump, the Republican candidate, or see the first woman president in that country's history. There's some news coming right here in Nigeria, one of which is also a very defining decision from the federal government, and this is coming from the Ministry of Education. The new minister, Mr. Alausa, today had made a very strong pronouncement about age factors in relation to the education system in Nigeria. Is reversed the decision made under the former minister, Professor Tahir Mahmoud. Take a listen to what the new Minister of Education, Mr. Alausa, had to say today.
We will work with JAM and our university to ensure that people that are matriculating into our universities will be around 16 years. There will be exemption for gifted children who can have an earlier part. So we will not be going forward with the 18 years. We will go back to what we had before, 16 years.
That's the Minister of Education, Mr. Alausa. Oh, so much to talk about. You heard what the Federal High Court had said today, freed based on the counsel of the federal government on the case against some of those minors and those who were arrested over the August End Bad Governance protest. They have been freed and free now to go home. The federal government has also moved to rehabilitate some of them. We'll be hearing and getting insight on what this means for our politics and for our nation, the lives of some of these young persons. That on one hand is also another matter for us to take a look is the Tinubu government's tax policy. They say they are entering into a reform of the tax regime in this country. That has got a lot of attention. We'll be getting to hear more on that tonight on the program. But first, let's have you with some of your political roundup stories.
Justice Obior Egwatu of the Federal High Court of Abuja has struck out the suit against 119 protesters charged over the nationwide #EndBadGovernance governance protest. Justice Egwatu struck out the case following an application by the counsel to the Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Mohammed Abubakar. At today's session, Mr. Abubakar had applied to take over and discontinue the suit in accordance with Section 174 of the Constitution. The Chief Judge of Ekiti State, Justice John Adeyeye, is dead. Justice Adeyeye, who was inaugurated as Ekiti State Chief Judge on October 11, 2021, passed away yesterday. He was 64 years old. Governor Yebanji of Ekiti State described the late Justice Adeyeye's demise as heartrending and a colossal loss for the state. President Bola Tinubu has decorated the acting Chief of Army Staff, Olufemi Oluyede, with a higher rank of Lieutenant General. The decoration took place at the President's office. The acting Chief of Army Staff was promoted from the rank of Major General to Lieutenant General days after he was appointed as acting Army Chief by the President. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu says all the non-sensitive material to be used in the conduct of the November 16th governorship election in Ondo State have been distributed to INEC offices in the 18 local government areas of Ondo State. Professor Yakubu disclosed this in an interview with newsmen after an assessment visit to 2 local government offices of the Commission in Akure North and Akure South. According to INEC Chairman, the sensitive materials will arrive at the office of the Central Bank of Nigeria at Akure next week Tuesday, where the various stakeholders will be invited to inspect them.
The non-sensitive materials have all been received and batched, ready for movement. Next is the arrival of the sensitive materials, and the sensitive materials are scheduled to arrive on Tuesday next week. Thereafter, we'll invite political parties, candidates, security agencies, the media, observers, and officials of the Commission.
Lastly, officials of the Kano State government, led by the spokesperson to the governor, Mr. Sanusi Bature, have welcomed the decision of the Federal High Court, which struck out the charges against some #EndBadGovernance protesters arrested from Kano. The team were at the court in Abuja to show solidarity with the teenagers who have been moved to the presidential villa, where they will be officially handed over to the Kano State Governor, Mr. Abba Yusuf. They will be moved to Kano today by air in the evening for rehabilitation and subsequent handover to their families.
It's from the Federal High Court today in Abuja that we begin our conversation, where the court has struck out a suit against the persons charged over the nationwide #EndBadGovernance protest. The trial judge today, Justice Egwatu, struck out the suit following the application by the counsel to the Attorney General of the Federation, MD Abubakar, to take over and discontinue that suit. But as that was happening, or that happened, those persons who are being released, and President Tinubu had yesterday ordered that the AGF to terminate the charges against the accused persons, most of whom are said to be minors and prohibited by law from facing such trial. Minister of Information had said as much. And they've been also asked that the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction to immediately see for the welfare of the minors. He also mandated to ensure their smooth reunion and their parents with their parents or guardians wherever they are in the country. And of course, we do know that the Kano State government and the governor are also in waiting to receiving some of these minors back into the state today. We saw top governors and top government officials involved in receiving some of these persons. The Vice President, Kashim Shettima, was at the presidential villa and on hand to receive them as they were freed and ready to be rehabilitated.
Regardless, the president has used his position as the father of the nation to give these young men another chance at becoming responsible citizens who will make a positive impact in the drive for a better Nigeria. I would like to admonish you, young men, not to allow yourself to be used in perpetrating violence and destroying public and private property. Over 300 billion naira was lost in the protest, consisting mainly private property through looting and loss of business. I will urge you, I will advise you, you are our children, to use the opportunity of the President's magnanimous gesture in ensuring that you go back home and become responsible citizens who will contribute to the growth of the society.
All right, later on in the program, we're standing by to get some signal from our Maiduguri studio, where Senator Ndume will be joining us in a moment. But let's also tell you that the National Economic Council a few days ago had asked that the tax reforms bill be withdrawn. But of course, the federal government, through the presidency, had responded to that. And the federal government has said it won't withdraw the 4 tax bills sent to lawmakers, a move likely to enrage some powerful state governors and some leaders who are stood against that bill. Tonight, I'm being joined to give some clarity on what this bill means by Mr. Matthew Bonjubola, who is the Coordinating Director, Compliance and Enforcement Group at the Federal Inland Revenue Service. He's live for us here in our Abuja studio. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight.
Thank you very much.
Why is it difficult for this bill to be withdrawn? The president has said it wouldn't be withdrawn. The NEC has advised the federal government to withdraw it. But it does look like some of you who understand the content of those proposals. There are 4 of them, isn't it? Why do you think it's so important to the reforms, the tax reforms agenda of this government?
Thank you very much, Shil. The tax bills that we have currently with the National Assembly are very comprehensive, and they address every facet of the tax system, whether the taxations of individual, of property, of transactions and companies. And so it also has to do with rearrangement of tax administration itself within Nigeria. And so it could be a very serious step backwards if that bill, if those bills were withdrawn from the National Assembly. And if we analyze what the president had said, he said that if the bills are not laws yet until they are passed into law by the National Assembly, and which means there are legislative actions that could be done, there could be amendments, there could be changes, which the National Assembly is empowered by the Constitution to do in the process of delivering their work. And therefore, withdrawing those bills is not the solution, but rather allowing them to go through the legislative process, which includes public hearing, which includes submission of memoranda to the National Assembly. And so I think the president has spoken in wisdom so that we will not be taking backward steps. The last time we had a comprehensive review of tax law was 1993 in Nigeria. And so we are much overdue to review our tax system.
So if you look at it, you heard what the northern leaders said. It's not only the governors, but some of the traditional rulers came out to say this is skewed against the North. What do you think in that bill aggravated or annoyed or got the northern leaders angry or concerned about? It's a derivation aspect of it. It does look to me. Why do you think they're not happy?
Well, I'm not sure they are not happy.
They were not, because they said they were going to, and they went the following day, part of those who moved against it at the National Economic Council meeting to say, withdraw this bill. And that was the position of NEC.
Yeah, I think if you look at the communique of the excellencies and from the North, was speaking particularly concerning the use of derivation as one of the major factors in allocating the revenue from VAT. And if you look at that, it is only one part of a section in a law that has over 200 sections, covering over 200 pages. And so, and I also believe that there had been a lot of probably miscommunication. Probably quite a number of those communicating and advocating withdrawal of the bills probably have not studied comprehensively all the provisions in those bills. If they have, that they will see that the proposal being complained about should actually be applauded by everybody.
Let's talk specifically, Mr. Bonjubola.
Yeah.
if you are asking, and this is about the VAT specifically that is causing the problem, if you are asking that most of the companies, has been this debate by some of the governors to say, look, most of these companies are headquartered in Lagos, in Abuja, and they pay their taxes in these places. Based on the derivation formula that is being projected, it does mean that the places where these taxes are being paid are going to benefit directly. But if you look at it, some of the revenue or some of what is accrued to these companies come from different parts of the country. Is that fair?
The provision of the bill is fair, and I will explain to you. VAT is based on consumption and not on production. And if you permit me to use an example, if you use an example of a company, probably the factory is based in Ogun State. We know there are so many companies there, produce 1 million units of its product. You can be sure that that 1 million units are not consumed in Ogun State. In fact, sometimes almost all the products are shipped out of Ogun State. And so that is why value-added tax is not based on place of production. It is based on place of consumption. And that is why it is called consumption tax. So if an item is produced in Ogun State and sold in, let's say, Enugu State and consumed there, the VAT will be paid in Enugu State. The VAT will be accrued as having the rewrite from Enugu State, where that item is consumed. So that is the way VAT is
the
consumed.
Arrangement in the new tax bill or the proposed tax bill considering fairness in such a way that there won't be a reduction in what is accrued to these states, because this, especially the 19 northern states of the Federation.
Yeah, you see, Sheung, let's look at it from this perspective. If VAT ordinarily is based on consumption, then the revenue accruing from the consumption of products and services must also accrue to the places where the consumption have taken place. That is VAT anywhere in the world, not on the basis
the
of
proposal that you made, right? Was it based on a globally acceptable standard, or did you consider what kind of template? Which country template did you use, for example?
No, we didn't.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. Now, we didn't copy any country's template because Nigeria is unique. And what makes Nigeria unique? We have 37 tax authorities in Nigeria, states. And if you had Federal Inland Revenue Service, makes 38. And then you have 774 revenue committees in local governments. Not many countries of the world had that kind of a system. In the few countries where you have a federation, most often they have only one tax authority, or they have different tax rules for each state. In Nigeria, we have different tax authorities. We have only one tax law. And so that makes our own case unique. And so what has been proposed in the bill is what is fair. Fair in the sense that it recognizes where consumption takes place. Fair in the sense that it promotes economic development, because if in your state you allow businesses to run freely, they generate more economic activity, there's more consumption in your state, you get more revenue. So unlike if some states shut down the economy, and then because they know that at the end of the month, revenue accruing through the efforts of other states who have not shut down their own economy are going to be shared to them. And that is not fair. What is fair is everybody contribute into this big cake, and then we can all share according to our contribution.
So it's based on what is consumed. So there are states that are economically not viable. Economically not viable in terms of comparison. And most of them falls in the northern region of the country. And you imagine that if the purchasing power is low in this part of the world or the part of the country, it also diminishes what the consumption will be. Are they not also excluded based on economic capacity already?
That is not correct, Sheil. And I will answer it with two reasons. Number one, when you look at the VAT revenue in Nigeria today, based on data that is available within the FRS, majority of VAT come from services and what we call the common or fast-moving consumer goods. Items like sugar, milk, seasonings, and there's no part of the country today where those items are not consumed because they are basic items that are used by everybody, whether rich or poor. Now, services, the same thing. Now, telephone, take telephone for example. There's no poor person in Nigeria that does not have telephone. And that is where the bulk of revenue of VAT is coming from. Now, we have issues of luxury items, vehicles, television, high phones, and all of these high brand. They contribute very little proportion to the VAT revenue in Nigeria. So when you actually now speak as to affordability, the items that are producing most of the revenue are things that almost everybody in Nigeria can avoid. That is on the one part. On the second side of it, talking about fairness, is that derivation is not the only element that is used in sharing the VAT revenue. The VAT revenue sharing proposed recognized the need to make fund available to everyone. And that is why out of 100%, only 60% is tied to derivation. 20% is based on equity. So, I mean, everybody shares equally, irrespective of your size or what you produce or what you do not produce, what you consume or what you have not consumed. Another 20% is shared on the basis of population. So, when you look at it, therefore, 40% is not based on derivation. Only 60% is based on derivation. So, in that sense, we can see fairness. And we all state that probably we might consider as not consuming much are compensated because they can share equally 20% and they can share on the basis of population another 20%.
So now give us an understanding, because what could happen to that tax bill? Because it makes no sense when a huge work has been done and at the end of the day it does not come to pass, because if the northern lawmakers fight this, it will be shut down. It will not make it through. Now, what do you think will satisfy, in thinking with the bill, what do you think will satisfy the northern leaders who are not happy with what it is, the proposal is right now?
Sincerely, Shion, I don't think we should make this a north versus south or east versus west
Most
issue.
of the argument, the argument came mostly from the northern leaders, first from the governors and the traditional rulers, and we saw the NEC who also came. And the major argument, we had a governor here who said it's skewed against the north. Now, the question is that what do you think could make everyone happy? Is there a way that we could do it in such that everyone is happy?
Yeah, thank you. I think I like the way you framed it in this later part. Is to make everybody happy, probably not possible. But to make everybody agreeable, I think that is a more plausible, more feasible goal to seek. And the way to do that is part of what your program is doing, to educate, to make everybody to know what the provisions in those bills mean. And a lot of people who have commented on those bills have not even read them. That is the truth. And that is why you find out that some of the arguments that are coming out there are actually inaccurate. So education and enlightening.
So ignorance has become is a major has bedeviled that, because a lot of people are ignorant of the content and the details of it.
Well, I won't use the word ignorance, but I will say that many people have not read the bills. That's the truth. And they are just basing their commentary on them say hearsay and hearsay. So it's going to help a lot. Number two is that the president said let this bill go through legislative action. And we all know what happens during legislative actions. Interest groups are able to come and say, look, this aspect of the bill, I think I don't like it. We can do it this way. And then the legislators that we have elected in this country who are representing the people of Nigeria are able to listen and then look at the argument. And on that basis, we'll see whether they need to make amendments to what has been proposed or whether not to make amendments. So like I said, the bills are not yet law until the National Assembly has worked on it and they have become law.
And you think that in the end, if all of this is done, there will be some level of satisfaction, isn't it?
I sincerely believe so, that once we begin to engage the provisions and we begin to look at all of them in totality, not in isolation. There are 4 bills and all of them makes a bundle. Each of them addressing specific aspects of what we need to do in the tax system. Because what I asked
you earlier is about where the VAT is paid, which is a major argument.
There's a difference from where VAT is paid, and again,
you talk about the consumption.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You see.
So where is VAT being paid? Who is paying the VAT?
Okay, good. That's
the company pays the VAT, isn't it?
Absolutely. But the actual payer of VAT is the consumer. It is you and I.
Who do you pay to?
You pay from whoever you are buying from.
Who is the producer of that item?
Not necessarily.
The retailer. The retailer,
buy from
we're talking
retailer,
about the the landing point of the VAT. At the end of the day, it lands in the pocket of the producer.
No,
who eventually now turns it back into the government.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. You see, again, it's part of what we're talking about, understanding how VAT works. VAT is a multi-stage tax. And if I take an example, so you produce an item to a point in one place, you sell it to another person. At that point, VAT is paid. That person who has bought it from you, if it's a reseller, takes it to where he's going to sell it. When he's selling it, VAT is charged. And then what has been paid before is deducted. And on and on. So ultimately, the person who actually pays the VAT is the person who has consumed the item, who does not sell it to another person.
Yeah.
All the people, the companies, the wholesalers, the retailers who have been involved, they are just agents of collection. So they are not the real consumer. They are not the real payer of the VAT.
But the fundamental thing is that at the end of the day, there will be more education at the legislative process, and everyone will be happy.
Absolutely. I believe so.
Thank you so much, Mr. Matthew Monjubola, who is a coordinating director of compliance and enforcement at the Federal Inland Revenue Service, who brought in to give some education and insight into all of these issues. Thank you so much, Indy.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Well, let's turn to Senator Ali Ndume, who is live for us in Maiduguri, in our Maiduguri studio. Thank you so much, Senator, and it's good to see you again.
Thank you, Sharon. How are you doing?
I'm good. Let's begin with I will come to the tax issue, or if you like, maybe we should begin from there. What's your view about the position of the president and the presidency that it would not withdraw the tax reform bills? Some leaders of the North and the National Economic Council had argued that these should be withdrawn and reassessed. But what's your position? You're a federal lawmaker. It will soon get into the hands of you and your colleagues.
Well, it has even gotten to us because it went through first reading. But my advice is that as the northern governors and the National Economic Council has said that we should withdraw, the president should withdraw the bill, should do more consultation, and he should carry Nigerians and the public. But if it goes on like that, I can tell you that it will be death on arrival.
Why do you think so?
And
have you been able to study the bills? Have you been able to look at it carefully?
We don't need to study the bill. from what Matthew said now, I don't need to be educated. The general thing is that Nigerians are not willing to talk or to hear or to pay any tax now, considering the situation that we have faced. Because this is government of the people, for the people, and by the people. So it is not by, I respect the expertise, Matthew, who said so many things now, but it doesn't make political sense to me. So, in fact, let me say here again that a country like Ghana that are our neighbor, they are working on tax reforms that will reduce the burden on the citizens. In fact, they have abolished most of the taxes. Like that VAT is reduced from 17% to 3%. They have abolished tax on airline tickets. They have abolished so many things. I sent you a copy this afternoon, Cheung.
Yeah.
So Nigeria is not an issue of paying tax. Nigerians are willing to pay tax, but they can only pay tax when they can afford it. Right now, people are not even able to afford afford what they can eat. People are struggling to survive. Let people live first before you start asking them for tax. And these our industries are even leaving Nigeria right now because of the unconducive environment.
Now, Senator, will it be fair, Senator, just a moment, will it be fair to say that it will be shut down even when it has not been given a proper consideration? It has not gone through the second reading or through the public hearing. Would it be fair to shoot it down at the first instant, at a first glance?
Yeah, it will be fair. In fact, it is the fairest thing to do. When you bring in something that people are allergic to it and people that don't like it, you just shut it down, and because we have more other business to do.
But I mean, is this the position of most of you and your colleagues from the northern part of the country about this Tinubu's tax reform agenda?
Yes, and I'm campaigning. I told them that last time that I'll campaign against it, and I can tell you and I assure you that we are succeeding.
I mean, this is mostly political, isn't it?
You know, the whole Senate.
But what about the sensibility of that law, of the proposition of that bill, and the technicality of it, the good that it will have? We've not had a tax reform in a long time.
No.
And Tinubu government is trying to put one in place now.
Do you know what, Shegun? Let me tell you straight out. What this government needs to do is to reform the government, not to do reform in the taxes, not the reform the government. You have people that are capable, that people that know Nigeria, people that are sensitive to Nigerians, feelings. That is when the government will perform well. But when you have people that don't know Nigeria very well, and then they keep on chunking out policies that is being dictated by IMF and World Bank, that is not workable in Nigeria, then you will have a problem.
Well, Senator, just remaining. Mr. Matthew, quickly, sorry, apologies to bring you back. Yes, I need you to, in 60 seconds, is there any good in that bill? What aggravates, there must be there are 4 propositions. There must be other parts of these propositions that are not this controversial and political.
Yeah, there are many good provisions in the bills. For example, companies' income tax rate is coming down. Number 2, all the earmark taxes, the different NASENI, education tax, all those other additional taxes have been consolidated into one tax. Number three is that all basic items that most individuals in Nigeria, whether rich or poor, would need are exempt from VAT now. Food, children items, schooling items, all medication, all public transportation are all exempt in these bills.
So it takes the burden away from the average person, because it's the fear
so
that
it's actually reducing the tax
people being
burden.
taxed more
No.
should not be concerned. So are you giving us assurance that in that proposition, people are not being taxed more?
No, they are being taxed less. Even for VAT, we are talking about the deductions that are not allowable before are now being proposed to be allowed. Currently, if you are a business and you buy a vehicle for your business and you pay VAT, under the current legislation, you cannot get a refund for that VAT on your vehicle. In this proposal, now you can get a deduction for the VAT you paid on your assets for business purposes.
So there are more good in that bill.
There are more goods. And even this controversy, in my view, is the product of not properly understanding the basis for it.
All right. Let me put the tax to you and your friends at the FRS. Can you from tomorrow put snippets of what this bill and the good that it has for Nigerians?
Yes.
Let everyone be able to see. Put it online.
We've started.
Please, and let's have more education. Senator, you heard what Matthew said here. Does that somehow give you some kind of rethink about your position?
Not at all. What you need to do is to withdraw the bill, go and educate Nigerians, make us understand. We are representing the people. The people that we're representing have already spoken. The governors, our traditional rulers have said that the bill is not good. So the best thing to do is to immediately withdraw it, then go back to these people, educate them if you want to educate them. Once they are satisfied, we from the political class will be willing to do what our people want. But right now, what are people saying now is that they don't want that VAT tax. They don't even want to hear about it.
All right, let's take a breather. Senator.
So that is why we are going to make it dead on arrival.
Wow. Let's take a breather, Senator. But when we come back, I'd like to get your view on what happened today in the prosecution of those persons arrested for the End Bad Governance protest. Now, there is a withdrawal of that matter in court. They've been freed and rehabilitated. I'd like to get your view when we return from this break, everyone. Join us again. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us on the program. Senator Ndume, representing Borno South in the National Assembly, has been speaking with us from our Maiduguri studio. Thank you so much, distinguished. Let's look at what happened today. The Vice President Kashim Shettima received some of those who were classified as minors. The court has freed them because the federal government lawyer today had entered into a withdrawal of that suit in court. They have been asked, the president has ordered that they be rehabilitated. Let me get your view first and foremost on that particular incident that caused an outrage in some Nigerians, especially the discovery of the fact that some of them are between the age of 12 and 15.
Well, let me first of all, start by quoting President Theodore Roosevelt, one of the famous American presidents. And he said, and I read, even I quote, patriotism means to stand by the country. It does not mean to stand by the president or any other public official, save exactly to the degree which he himself stands by the country. It is patriotic to support him insofar as he efficiently serves the country. It is unpatriotic not to oppose him to the extent that by inefficiency or otherwise, he fails in his duty to stand by the country. In either event, it is unpatriotic not to tell the truth, whether about the president or anyone else. Having said that, these boys or these minors are not supposed to be arrested anyway, because what they did was a protest, and protest is a constitutional right. So you see, the president has been embarrassed by his people, not only to the people of Nigeria or those affected, but even internationally. And there's this Hausa saying that the Mugurawagara Kintashi. It means that if instead of starting a bad dance, you should not do it anyway. These minors are not supposed to have been arrested, and it is not issue of rehabilitation now. It is issue of compensation, because they have been wronged, their rights have been breached. I think the government needs to apologize to them and then pay them some compensation so that they will start their life. That is the best. Not to take them somewhere to say that you want to rehabilitate them.
So what do you say to the federal government
and
who
this
said
should not happen again.
during this protest, some of the pictures that we saw, the carrying of placards indicating removal of the present administration, the flying of the Russian flag on Nigerian soil, and so many things that are happening, including the destruction of properties and all whatnot. These are some of the grounds upon which the police said they were being arrested.
Okay, that is an offense. I'm not saying that they are all right, but these are minors. You said these are minors. When you arrest them, then you do the appropriate thing. When we are children, if we do a wrong thing, maybe you will say, okay, you have committed certain offense which is against the Nigerian country, and then you receive 3 lashes. They lash them 3, go home and don't do it again. But here you keep them for 90 days, 3 months, and some of them are innocent. I mean, this is bringing bad name to a Democrat. President Tinubu is known to be a Democrat. He fought for democracy. And now that he's in power, he should be promoting democracy, not promoting any kind of government that is unacceptable to people of Nigeria.
Are you saying this as a northern senator, or you are saying it as a Nigerian?
Well, I can't hear you now.
I'm saying, is this your point that you're making tonight
just a minute.
As a northern senator, or you are saying it as a Nigerian?
I can't hear you, please.
What about now? Can you hear me? I can hear you, Senator.
Okay, I can hear you now. I increase my...
I'm saying this is your position about this matter. Is it a position as a northern senator or as simply a Nigerian?
No, this is my position. And I believe that many northern senators or even senators agree with me. There are so many senators that have come out before me to cry about or to condemn that particular act. So it's not about Ndume. Besides, I'm speaking now with 3 caps. 1, I have the right to speak as a Nigerian. 2, I am a senator representing Borno South. 3, I'm a senator from northern Nigeria. And 4, I'm even senator of Nigeria. But let me tell you, Sheung, that what I'm doing is what I feel is right. Once you tell the president, you criticize the president for doing the wrong thing, and then you commend the president if he does the right thing. I've come out several times to commend the president on some of the actions that he has taken. And most of these actions, like this arrest of minors, if he's to come out as he did to say now they should be immediately released, and that was what happened. If he knew that these are minors, he wouldn't have ordered for the arrest. So those people that arrested them are the people now that are giving the president bad name.
Now, if you were president and in that circumstance, what would you do?
First, I will apologize to Nigerians and the children. Then secondly, I will take action against those individuals that I gave them responsibility to police or to handle these issues for doing it wrong and bringing a bad name to the country.
The reason why I asked that
tell
is that,
Nigerians
Senator,
that it
just
will
for a
not
moment.
happen again.
Senator, you saw how some governors in the state declared state of emergency or declared curfew in their state due to the
Yes.
breakdown of law and order. So if you were
Yes.
president, where police officers arrested those they say have broken down, looting, assaulting people, and also destroying public property. If you were president, what would you do in that kind of circumstance? Would you allow the breakdown of law and order, or what would you do?
No, I will not allow for breakdown and order. I didn't say that you should have allowed for breakdown of law and order. But when that thing happened and it was getting out of hand, what the governors did in many states, including my state, was to declare curfew. That means everybody will be at home. And anybody that is on the street and is arrested, it means he has committed an offense, and he should be immediately charged to court and punished for that, not keeping them for 90 days. That is very, very unfair, for God's sake.
That protest was #EndBadGovernance protest against your political party administration, because your party is in power. Some of those who are saying that there is hardship in the land. How do you feel as one of the promoters of the APC, the Bola Tinubu government? How do you feel that you promoted a party that some of these Nigerians are now saying is bringing them hardship? Are you regretting that kind of decision?
No, let me say that the president came out boldly at the beginning. He said that he's taking out some measures in order to make the future bright, and that they are painful, and that he understands what the people are going through. But then I say it is not acceptable. I will never support people taking laws into their hands, not to talk of destroying properties or whatever. But the way they managed the situation was very, 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 very bad.
No, Senator, what I'm asking is that you are one of those who said APC was the best option for Nigeria in 2023 election. The reason why they protested was because they felt that APC was not giving, or is not giving Nigerians what they expected. There is hardship in the land. Those are some of the premises and the reasons why they went on this. And I'm asking you, Senator, can you face Nigerians today to say you were proud of your decision, considering what is happening to the average person who is crying of no food, hardship, and the plight of those who said things have gone so bad for them in this country? Senator, do you regret your action?
Well, first of all, let me tell you, it's not good to politicize every issue. This is a national issue that has to do with hunger, sufferings, increase inflation, and all that. And it is not wholly caused by this government. The only problem the government is having is how to manage this situation, which is global. And that is why people like us come out, because this is the only means we have to voice out our opinion on the way things are being done, because there's no communication between most of us with the government. I've tried several times myself to have access to the president to give him alternative opinion on some of these measures. If we do that, Nigerians will understand with us. Nigerians know that the economic problem is global. Nigerians know that it is not Tinubu that created the problem. Neither was even the predecessor. It is a global issue, but the management is poor. And we must say it. And that's why I say that there are other alternatives. I gave you an example of Ghana on this tax issue.
Senator, Senator, apologies, because we are totally out of time, but I'm begging you, can you please come into the studio when you get into Abuja so that we can have an extended, expanded, and a very proper conversation? Thank you so much, Senator Ndume. I plead with you. We need to close now.
Well, I can't say anything because I have to think. Last time I talked to...
But thank you, Senator. We need to go now because we're totally out of time. But please come into the Abuja studio as soon as you get into Abuja. Let's have an expanded conversation. But we need to go now because we're totally out of time. That's our show for today. Many thanks, everyone, for watching. I'm sure Kimale. Bye-bye.